Sir, we're now going to move to closing statements. Each candidate will have up to 2 minutes. The order, remember, was determined by a drawing, and Mr. Perot, you were first.
Well, it's been a privilege to be able to talk to the American people tonight. I make no bones about it. I love this country. I love the principle it's founded on. I love the people here. I don't like to see the country's principles violated. I don't like to see the people in a deteriorating economy and a deteriorating country because our government has lost touch with the people. The people in Washington are good people. We just have a bad system. We've got to change the system. It's time to do it because we have run up so much debt that time is no longer our friend. We've got to put our house in order. When you go to bed tonight, look at your children. Think of their dreams. Think of your dreams as a child and ask yourself, isn't it time to stop talking about it? Isn't it time to stop creating images? Isn't it time to do it? Aren't you sick of being treated like an unprogrammed robot? Every 4 years, they send you all kinds of messages to tell you how to vote and then go back to business as usual. They told you at the Tax and Budget Summit that if you agreed to a tax increase, we could balance the budget. They didn't tell you that that same year they increased spending $1.83 for every dollar we increased taxes. That's Washington in a nutshell right there. In the final analysis, I'm doing this for your children, so when you look at them tonight. There's another group that I feel very close to, and these are the men and women who fought on the battlefield, the children, the families, the ones who died, the people who left parts of their bodies over there. I'd never ask you to do anything for me, but I owe you this, and I'm doing it for you. And I can't tell you what it means to me at these rallies when I see you, and you come up, and the look in your eyes, and I know how you feel, and you know how I feel. And then I think of the older people who are retired. They grew up in the Depression. They fought and won World War II. We owe you a debt we can never repay you, and the greatest repayment I can ever give is to recreate the American dream for your children and grandchildren. I'll give it everything I have if you want me to do it.
Governor Clinton, your closing statement.
I'd like to thank the people of St. Louis and Washington University, the Presidential Debate Commission, and all those who made this night possible, and I'd like to thank those of you who are watching. Most of all, I'd like to thank all of you who have touched me in some way over this last year. All the thousands of you whom I've seen. I'd like to thank the computer executives, the electronics executives in Silicon Valley, 2/3 of whom are Republicans, who said they wanted to sign on to a change to create a new America. I'd like to thank the hundreds of executives who came to Chicago, 1/3 of them Republicans, who said they wanted to change. I'd like to thank the people who started with Mr. Perot, who've come on to help our campaign. I'd like to thank all the folks around America that no one ever knows about. The woman who was holding the AIDS baby she adopted in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, who asked me to do something more for adoption. The woman who stopped along the road in Wisconsin and wept because her husband had lost his job after 27 years. All the people who are having a tough time and the people who are winning, but who know how desperately we need to change. This debate tonight has made crystal clear a challenge that is as old as America. The choice between hope and fear, change or more of the same. The courage to move into a new tomorrow or to listen to the crowd who says things could be worse. Mr. Bush has said some very compelling things tonight that don't quite square with the record. He was president for 3 years before he proposed a health care plan that still hasn't been sent to Congress in total. 3 years before an economic plan, and he still didn't say tonight that that tax bill he vetoed raised taxes only on the rich and gave the rest of you a break, but he vetoed it anyway. I offer a new direction. Invest in American jobs, American education, control health care costs, bring this country together again. I want the future of this country to be as bright and brilliant as its past, and it can be if we have the courage to change.
President Bush, your closing statement.
Well, let me tell you a little what it's like to be president. In the Oval Office, you can't predict what kind of crisis is going to come up. You have to make tough calls. You can't be on one hand this way and one hand another. You can't take different positions on these difficult issues. And then you need a philosophical, I'd call it a philosophical underpinning. Mine for foreign affairs is democracy and freedom. And look at the dramatic changes around the world. Cold War is over. Soviet Union is no more, and we're working with a democratic country. Poland, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, the Baltics are free. Take a look at the Middle East. We had to stand up against a tyrant. The United States came together. We haven't in many, many years. And we kicked this man out of Kuwait. And in the process, as a result of that will and that decision and that toughness, we now have ancient enemies talking peace in the Middle East. Nobody would have dreamed it possible. And I think the biggest dividend of making these tough calls is the fact that we are less afraid of nuclear war. Every parent out there has much less worry that their kids are going to be faced with nuclear holocaust. All this is good. On the domestic side, what we must do is have change that empowers people, not change for the sake of change, tax and spend. We don't need to do that anymore. What we need to do is empower people. We need to invest and save. We need to do better in education. We need to do better in job retraining. We need to expand our exports, and they're going very, very well indeed, and we need to strengthen the American family. I hope, as president, that I've earned your trust. I've admitted it when I make a mistake, but then I go on and help try to solve the problems. I hope I've earned your trust, because a lot of being president is about trust and character. And I ask for your support for 4 more years to finish this job. Thank you very, very much.
Don't go away yet. I just want to thank the 3 panelists and thank the 3 candidates for participating, President Bush, Governor Clinton, and Mr. Perot. They will appear again together on October the 15th and again on October 19th. The next Tuesday, there will be a debate among the 3 candidates for Vice President. And for now, from Washington University in St. Louis, Missouri, I'm Jim Lara. Thank you and good night.
And this is Peter Jennings with you again for some period of time now to discuss the debate. I promise you, before very long, we're going to hear from some of the voters around the country who have been watching this, and as I said at the outset, have not been approached by the spin doctors yet. May help to give you a little explanation about the crowd there. It was split into 4 this evening. 25% of the audience were President Bush's supporters, 25% Governor Clinton, 25% Ross Perot, and 25% invited by the Bipartisan Debate Commission. So in the main, perhaps, as you've heard in the past, the applause you heard from the various candidates came from their supporters. We told you at the outset, as we look at Governor Clinton on his 17th wedding anniversary, as he told us, with his family, Mr. Perot there with his family and friends saying goodnight to Jim Lehrer, and Mrs. Perot, that the debate historians, the people who study these things for a living, or at least certainly for a more serious avocation than most of us, have all told us that these events in the main only serve to reinforce our faith in the candidate we already prefer, and that only a major gaffe will make a difference. I have no idea yet what you at home think about this night, but let me offer you up a product liability warning. You are going to hear from some of the press tonight, and we'll begin in that field house with words from our distinguished Jeff Greenfield. Jeff.
Well, Peter, that sound you hear is the thunder of the political operatives running into the press room to tell the several thousand press people here how their men did well. 2 things occur to me. One, if Ross Perot had stayed in this race, and if Ross Perot had not dropped out and behaved erratically and then performed the way he did tonight, we would be looking at a very different campaign. This was the Ross Perot tonight that really attracted so much interest way back in the spring before diverting off the main highways of politics. And the second thing, this is a cliche that most people say at debates unless one of the candidates falls down or utters unkind or obscene words.